Here we are with our Uke Like the Pros daily lesson. I'm Terry Carter, and I have a very special guest with me today. This is Franco Linares, one of my former music theory students, now become colleague and friend and performance member with me. So I had this idea to bring Franco in because he's got a really amazing story to share with us, and I thought it might be a nice combination with the ukulele and Franco's style of songwriting and singing. So without further ado, I want to introduce my good friend Franco Linares.
Cool. Thank you for having me. And as you said, my name is Franco. Others know me as Gov or Gubby. And my story is I am legally blind. I was born legally blind. So I was born with bad sight, with low sight on the left eye. And as I got older, it just went completely blind. And on the right side, I had a retinal detachment later in my life. So then I went completely blind. But they put the retina back together, and it was a painful process. But after that, sight slowly started coming back, and it took like 2 to 3 months. And it was painful, but during that process is where I learned to write music in my head, or how to write lyrics in my head. And it took a lot of work, but that's how I dealt with the pain and my agony and just dealing with that whole ordeal. But I'm here now, I can see a little. So, you know, life is good. And with music, you can overcome many things. I did, so I know many of you do too, or can and will. So the poem that came to mind was Blindstar. And it says, being blind, we see what no other person sees. Like the horizon over the sea, or whether his eyes or her eyes are focused on me. Oh blindness, you never cease to amaze. You took color away from the most beautiful place. And with your irrefutable ways, I felt like you took the youth away from my days. Especially when you took the light away from my face. I was lost, like a mouse in a maze. But now I play in the dark, led by my better senses. And once again, I'm back in the race called life. Being blind, we see the darkness. In my mind, I planted many seeds. Now I have profound thoughts to harvest. I have a goal. Let my music and poetry travel the farthest. And let the music be felt from the soul of the artist. And regardless of any obstacle, we will work the hardest. Being blind has made my vision much clearer. I see myself in pure blackness, I need no mirror. And from up close or afar, I now see people for who they truly are. And how do you explain color to a person born blind? You have to ask yourself, how is color defined? Color is electromagnetic radiation. Vibration turns into sound. Sound resonates through the mouth, sending out emotions that'll make you smile or frown. You see me? I'm a blind star, blinded way before stardom. However, there is no one blinder than those who choose not to see. You have to choose what to be. It's essential that we exceed and excel beyond potential. We are all blind to certain degrees. The mind is the only thing that sees. So let us all shine in time at least, because we are all truly divine indeed. We are all truly divine indeed. So keep working. Keep following your dreams, your passions, and we're gonna keep flowing. We're never gonna stop at all. And as I write more poetry, new things come to mind. More networking, more bonding with people, more projects, more music, more art. If It feels like the Renaissance era, where we gotta excel in music and mathematics and science and anything academically, really. And I don't want to change the world, and I don't want the world to change me. Nonetheless, I will talk about what seems strange to me. Nonetheless, I see that we are still not judging one another by character or action, almost as if degrading one another brings us satisfaction. May we indulge in laughter, because not laughing is a bigger disaster. So let us acknowledge our differences so that we further understand what the difference is. For a prejudice is an intrusion that undermines our evolution. Without confusion shall we grasp the notion that it is within ourselves where we begin the true revolution. We owe one another nothing but respect. I am bothered when an atheist or a homosexual or a person with a disability falls victim to neglect. Any prejudice I reject. The human race is analogous to a marathon. What we do and how we do it is what we base our merits on. We cannot divorce ignorance, however, we must all be united and keep this marriage strong. A beautiful country indeed. Into no evil may we lead our seed. Let us educate ourselves and read. Let us be righteous, because good is what we need. We are only human, biologically the same breed. We're all born, we all die, and we all breathe. Perfectly flawed human beings. We share this earth, this reality, and all that we're seeing. We can entertain thoughts without having to embrace them. We can write beautiful poems without having to erase them. We have dreams so that we can chase them. We are supreme from this nature that will be silly for days long. So don't forget that every problem has a solution. And remember, we are the human race, forever problem solving. May we learn from our mistakes and keep evolving. We have to keep evolving. Much love to all of you.
All right, Franco, amazing. So we got one comment from Errol's here. He says, very inspiring. So what I remember is Franco took my class maybe 3 semesters ago, music theory, and it was a challenge for me because without him being able to see the book it's a workbook, and so there's a lot of stuff you have to write in the book, and as you know, the music staff is very small and very difficult for someone with good eyesight even to write in. But I remember the struggles that you faced trying to write the notes in, and so that challenged me as a professor and a teacher to figure out ways that I could show you the material that the rest of the class was learning, but in a way that you could not only understand it, but also demonstrate it. So I remember we did a lot of stuff on the piano. So you would have to come up, and what others would just write down on the piece of paper and show me, you actually had to go and demonstrate on the piano. And I remember that your ear, you always had a very good ear. And even though he couldn't see the notes, I would play it for him. And after he heard it once or twice, then he would get it memorized in his head, and then you would figure out how to play it. So you were building your ears up just because you couldn't see. So that always really impressed me. Then we started just playing together. I don't remember why. I think you came in maybe the next semester, and you just said, hey, I want to come and play some songs, and can you play a little music behind me? And so we started doing that, and probably done that for the last maybe 1.5 to 2 years, just at various times. Even today, this is completely improv on our part. Franco just came in. I texted him last night around 11 o'clock last night. Hey, you want to come in? Yes. And we just kind of worked this out just now. So what I'd like to ask you, Franco, is you're inspiring to me because you don't let a physical disability such as your sight hold you back from doing things that you want to do. And so could you kind of talk about your mindset of you know, when somebody who doesn't have any kind of, like, you can see perfectly,
Gotcha.
and versus you who have this, you know, legally blind, and some would say a disability, but yet how you're accomplishing a lot more in your life than a lot of people. Can you talk about your inspiration and what drives you?
Got you. So, I was always born, like I said, I was born blind, but I never knew I was blind until I started seeing the obstacles in the way. But even then, I found how to break down those obstacles. Even though it took longer, or it takes longer, I just started breaking them down. Like, for instance, when I started school, I couldn't see the print or for math, but I had to break it down and really just take more time. So it really is just hard work and knowing how to discipline yourself to break things down and just take the extra time, really. Because sometimes when you do have like a disability, you kind of have to push yourself a little more just to excel, or just to be ordinary. But many times it is what pushes us, because I know there's a few people that have, you know, nothing wrong with them, but maybe they're lacking inspiration, and sometimes we don't know how to tell them go find it, or we can spark it in them, but if they don't have it within them, then they're not really gonna move or go forth. So, but with me, it's really just having a tough mentality. Like, I wanna shine like the rest of them. Like, I see people around me that are successful, and I do surround myself with successful people. So I see them, and you know, I want to work as hard as them, and just to earn that respect or that value as an artist in society. And it's just really hard work. That's all it is. That's all it comes down to.
So why music? So why are you choosing music to use that as your vehicle to give your message to people?
Music, well, it started with poetry. They say that's music too, that's the written music. But it was my therapy. So I dealt with so much pain, so much agony, that I never had therapists or, you know, psychologists helping me. So it was just always writing it down. And I would bury all the ashes in the music or in the lyrics. So that was my therapy, really. And then I realized that other people felt the same way, and then you start sharing your story, and other people start saying, whoa, I feel that same way too, and you know, you enlighten them, and that's all it was.
And what do you hope people that listen to either your story or your music get from it?
Okay, I want to inspire, number one. Like, if you're in a dark place, I want to shine that light so that you do become inspired, but I want you to stay persistent, you know, stay inspired. So, and then I also want them to see that no matter what your obstacle is, or no matter what your hardship is, you can always get through it, because I know there's other people that are blind and deaf, or you know, maybe a quadriplegic, and it's all about your mind and how you focus on it, or how you use your mind, really. Sometimes it's not so much physical, but it's all in the mind. So that's the message I want to spread across. And also, I want to see my society succeed. Like, I want to, you know, like another golden era where people are just so creative, or just producing so much artistically, and I just want to see the nation succeed, really. So, as a whole.
Well, we thank you for being here. What I'd like to try to do is, why don't we just do a short little outro thing. I'll just start playing something, and you can just freestyle over a little bit. And again, Franco Linares, we're happy to have him here. Thank you for listening to our music and his story, and we'll just take you out with a little improv. This is nothing rehearsed, just totally on the spot.
Pick it up, do something. Get down.
right, thank you, my man.
All right, man.
Thank you, Youth Like the Pros members. We'll see you all in the next lesson.
Deuces.